By 2004, the Olsen Twins were the richest self-made teens in the United States, probably the entire world. They were about to become co-owners of their own billion-dollar empire, which sold basically anything you could put their face on, and they also decided it would be a good idea to go out into the real world and get an education, at the title location of their new film, New York Minute. Though their first and last ever big screen debut would flop at the box office, a measly $23.4 million, and would also gain horrible reviews, Mary-Kate and Ashley just knew in their hearts that NYC was the place to be, with New York University being named the #1 dream school in a survey conducted back in 2004, as well as all the culture, nightlife, multiple internships, nightlife, and an abundance of nightlife. They would spend the whole of the year prior studying hard for their SATs. As they told Oprah, they were just like any other normal student trying to get into university. The media ran themselves into a frenzy trying to guess which university the twins would be attending. There's no truth to it, they didn't apply, and Britney Spears isn't coming either. But Entertainment Weekly managed to get the scoop when they announced that Mary-Kate and Ashley would be attending NYU in the upcoming fall, ending the announcement with, "Gossip columns, get ready." Never a truer statement. For Mary-Kate and Ashley, their high school experience was one they described as fun and easy, but definitely not stimulating enough because they weren't allowed to enroll in AP classes or electives because they were often working. It was frustrating, but we knew at some point in our lives we could do what we wanted to do, which is why when they applied to university, they knew they wanted to go in a different direction and show everyone what they could really do. Ashley comparing her life to the abstract painting #1 by Jackson Pollock in her personal statement. Some people look at it as complete mayhem, or just paint splattered on a canvas, and yet there's so much emotion behind it. Some people will never, ever get that. No one knows what it's been like for us, and we don't expect anyone to know, good, bad, or amazing. But we do expect people to respect the decisions we make. They graduate from North Hollywood's Campbell High School in early 2004, which they attended with creep Spencer Pratt from The Hills, and spent the beginning of the summer doing promo for their new movie New York Minute, as well as searching New York for a place to stay during uni. They had thought about staying at the dorms, but when they visited, they were immediately mobbed, so they decided to get their own place. They eventually settled on not 1, but 4 units in a trendy West Village apartment block, essentially the entire top floor of a high-rise, and put them all together for about $7.3 million. They also picked up a $4 million mansion with city-to-ocean views in Bel Air to live in during school breaks. However, wherever the Olsens go, their empire follows. So their manager, Robert Thorne, takes an apartment right below theirs, and the twins also buy a townhouse in their complex to create a workspace for an 8-person design team that work for their various franchises. However, trouble would strike before the twins had even set foot into university, when it was announced that Mary-Kate had checked into the trendy rehab center Cirque Lodge for a 6-week stay due to health issues, and the tabloids started theorizing she must be in for drug problems. But their publicist would later clarify the situation, releasing the statement, "She's in ongoing treatment for an eating disorder with an experienced team of professionals who are available to her on both coasts. She's working very hard at being well." Ashley would also release a statement supporting her sister.
How's Mary-Kate doing?
She's good. It's actually kind of perfect timing. I know we're supposed to be there and be there with you guys, but it's kind of she needs to think about herself and take care of herself right now until before she could go ahead and please other people. So it's kind of worked out perfectly.
And it seemed people really did want to support Mary-Kate, with a Save Mary-Kate t-shirt campaign being started in Los Angeles. But the twins didn't really see the support and sent the t-shirt makers a cease and desist. Ashley cancels the Australian promotional tour for New York Minute and flies to Utah to support her sister in her time of need. While she consoles Mary-Kate, the tabloids also do their part by releasing covers focused on the troubled Olsen, with People magazine also commenting on Mary-Kate's bony appearance at her and Ashley's recent Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony. Supportive stuff. The rehab trip also inspired some very weird, extremely 2000s articles such as Mary-Kate Olsen's eating disorder could humanize her image, and I really hate the Olsen twins. Humanize her image? I don't know. But Got Milk certainly thought Mary-Kate wasn't helping their image, so they decide to pull the twins' Got Milk ads just as they were going to be released. However, by late August, the twins were able to turn their current situation around and were ready to start NYU. What's next for Mary-Kate? Ashley was taking Italian with an interest in psychology, and Mary-Kate signed up for a photography class with an interest towards the arts. They had both enrolled in the Gallatin School of Individualized Study, which meant they could choose whatever combination of classes they liked. Christy Turlington went to Gallatin, as did the two authors of The Nanny Diaries, whatever that means to you. Just before they started, their spokesperson released a statement to People magazine saying, "Their reasons for going to college are not vocational. They know a lot about lots of things from working in the real world since they were toddlers. This is their chance to explore. What they're trying to do is blend in as New Yorkers, living a day-to-day normal life, getting coffee at a deli, walking down a street without being bothered," which was basically impossible to do, as by that time, because of the fact they were, the Olsen Twins, combined with the tabloid watch on Mary-Kate's eating disorder, and the fact that many middle-aged men were obsessed with the twins because they were about to turn 18, America's favorite fantasy, the nation was obsessed with the Olsen Twins, which meant that they were easy prey for paparazzi who could literally just follow them on their class schedule. And it's not like they were hard to spot either, with Mary-Kate's 1,000 layers accessorized with a $1,000 handbag. More on that later. Whether it was a trip to the Union Square Starbucks or nights out at Butter, the Paps were sure to catch the twins, and then the tabloids would update the public on the twins' academic life. Mary-Kate at midterm, update. While the article focused mainly on Mary-Kate's eating disorder and questioning why she was leaving school for a week, is she dropping out of NYU, People magazine also highlighted the Olsen's new fave clubs, such as Butter, the owner Scott Sartiano Ashley was apparently dating, and Lotus, where Ashley performed sexy dance for Sartiano,
and Mary-Kate chain-smoked and drank an energy drink
while cozying up to Fatarucci, Sartiano's friend. While the twins would regularly snip in updates about their academic life and interviews, I love to learn, I really do. We'd study something in class and I'd take it outside of class and become, obsessive and just research everything. They were much more regularly pictured on late nights out chain smoking at clubs. The only thing that interested the public more about the twins than their party life was, what are they wearing? The new boho hobo style shouldn't have been too much of a shock, with Mary-Kate dropping snippets here and there about how much she loved wearing clothes that allowed her to not really wear clothes. I love getting amazing jackets because you can wear your pajamas underneath, and everyone's like, "Oh, fabulous jacket," and I'm like, you should see what's underneath. Of course, we didn't get to the infamous homeless chic look straight away, and it actually took a couple of months for the leading Olsen fashion visionary, Mary-Kate, to complete her look. Although Mary-Kate started out by wearing those matching sets with Ashley, in her early teens, she did actually start to show some of her own bohemian taste here and there. In 2001, she wore a matching sweater duster with Ashley on the cover of their short-lived series So Little Time, which is the first time we saw that homeless inspiration creep in. The next year, Mary-Kate alone starts wearing dark-coloured scarves and fringes, first beginning her love affair with scarves, bohemian prints and cuts. Then, in 2003, both of the twins started bringing out their flowing bohemian maxi dresses, which had those funky old lady patterns that foresaw their future old lady style. Then in 2004, everything really started to change. They first started to own their own image by dyeing their hair. Ashley is straight and blonde, which suited her more straight-laced, put-together personality, and Mary-Kate is curly and brown, which suited her retro rock star vibes. She would later admit in a 2014 interview with Elle magazine, "The truth is, I feel like I just learned to brush my hair last week," which honestly, I love. Then, the accessories start to pile on. We get the scarves, long coats, multiple shirts first, the sunglasses, their paparazzi armor of choice, creeping in just before they started NYU. In late 2004, they start to contrast their homeless chic with a high-value designer bag, often the Balenciaga city bag, and then in 2005, we get the 1-2 punch of cowboy boots and Starbucks cups, often at the same time. This is when Mary-Kate's homeless chic is officially complete, and the New York Times writes a think piece on her style, Mary-Kate, fashion star. Mary-Kate's style, boho chic, was actually very symbolic of the time, and even helped to create a new term, bobo, a mix of boho and bimbo, created by sociologist David Brooks, whose book, Bobos in Paradise, described a group of wealthy consumers who bashed materialism while embracing all manners of luxury. Mary-Kate certainly was an innovator of bobo style, but she certainly wasn't the only one, as across the pond, Kate Moss, rock chick supermodel who was about to blow her career sky high with Cocaine Kate, was leading the British pack with her understated, festival-inspired looks. Young girls and tabloids were obsessed with the Olsen look, watching in awe as the floppy hats, huge sunglasses, dust-catcher shirts, and street-sweeping cable-knit cardigans became more and more layered and ripped, until Mary-Kate's style became, as one magazine put it, a kind of homeless masquerade, one that was accented by subtle luxuries such as a cashmere muffler, a Balenciaga city bag, and of course her signature carry-out latte from Starbucks. On the other hand, although Ashley's university-era style definitely lived in the same world as her twin, it definitely was much more refined and laid back. While Mary-Kate's bags were stained, dirty, and gum-ridden, Ashley opted for clean and white. When Mary-Kate wore oversized hoodies and sweats, Ashley wore generous cashmere sweaters. And when Mary-Kate wore torn, spotted slips, Ashley opted for frilly white sundresses. However, both of the twins did have a massive hand in shaping some of the decade's most defining trends. The Alexander McQueen skull scarf, that was Mary-Kate. She and Ashley also helped position Balenciaga's city bag as one of the first it bags. Many of their other NYU staples also became mega decade-defining trends, such as massive sunglasses, leggings worn under skirts and dresses, extra-long scarves, turquoise jewelry, and busted-up jeans. One of the main reasons the Olsen style took on so quickly was because it was so different and refreshing to the leading trends of the time. There was the edgy rock chick look with not a lot of clothes, brought about by the likes of Xtina and Britney, and then the tacky, glammed-up heiress look inspired by Paris Hilton. When the Olsen twins came around with their boho chic look, people were yearning for something new, although that didn't mean they escaped the weekly worst dress list and were actually featured quite often. Bobo style started to make its way towards young Hollywood, and some of the trendiest it girls of the time, Chloe Sevigny, Sienna Miller, and Kirsten Dunst, were all looking for ways they could show off their inner homeless person. Stylish young women used to wear Gucci or Prada head to toe. Today, they are more apt to be seen at supermarkets or parties, toting a beat-up Chloe bag, their eyes shaded by enormous high-priced Laura Biagiotti sunglasses, the faint suggestion of opulence hidden beneath chador-like layers of cashmere and ankle-length peasant skirt. Looking back on her visionary fashion, Mary-Kate has tried to explain that all of her stylistic choices did actually have basic logistical reasoning behind it, such as the giant Starbucks cup. When I was younger, on the weekends, my mom would make us pancakes with her initials on them and then a tiny cup of coffee. I remember at 10 sneaking my own coffee and pouring a ton of sugar in and going up to the playroom and drinking it. And the layers? I was just trying to stay warm. I was from LA and layering made sense to me. I was cold. I put whatever was on the floor when I woke up. The Olsen style would evolve over the years to become more refined and high fashion, and Mary-Kate would have another iconic era, this time as the bag lady from Los Angeles. But before we get there, we need to get through the rest of NYU. Mary-Kate and Ashley carry on exploring New York's nightlife, while also working hard at their studies at the same time. Ashley interns with designer Zach Posen, Mary-Kate with photography Annie Leibovitz. The gossip columns were filled with stories of the twins' dating life, focused mainly on Mary-Kate, who had just started dating Greek shipping heir Stavros Niarchos III in early 2005, a relationship that would eventually blow up in her face. The paparazzi were also especially fixated on Mary-Kate, not just because she was one half of the Olsen twins, but because all of the tabloids were wanting pictures they could use on their weekly Mary-Kate eating disorder reports. When Mary-Kate's eating disorder first came out in July 2004, people were shocked to find out that the Olsen twins weren't these perfectly innocent, naive little girls, and that they actually had problems. So ever since, the tabloids kept tabs on where Mary-Kate was in her recovery. Luckily, Mary-Kate did have a team supporting her in both New York and Los Angeles that included a supervising psychiatrist, nutritionist, and a $1,000 a day eating counselor. If you're wondering if Mary and Ashley actually attended any of their classes, there was a college forum in 2004 with some supposed classmates answering that question. Here are some of their answers. I talked to people who have classes with them. They say they hardly come in, and there is massive speculation they are going to drop out. They go to class, I know firsthand, but there is no need to divulge anymore, except they are normal students and the school population in general, like most New Yorkers, acts blasé towards them, or any celebrity for that matter. And I don't want party with them. They dirty. They probably have AIDS from all the heroin injections. While there was a question on if the Olsen twins really deserved to go to NYU and how much work they were getting done there, no one had any questions on if the twins were really taking full advantage of the nightlife opportunities that New York had to offer. Stories would pour out of the tabloids every week, such as the time that Mary-Kate was caught chain-smoking in the ladies' toilet at the 2005 Met Gala, or the time that Mary-Kate almost threw up on Penelope Cruz, or the time that Mary-Kate had to be carried out of the dressing room of Oasis. Safe to say, most of the partying was done by Mary-Kate, who seemed to be swinging in a different direction to her sister, which is maybe why in early 2005, she decided to leave Ashley in the 3-bedroom Tribeca apartment that they were staying in while their $7.3 million apartment space was being renovated, and move into a spacious loft in Soho. After completing their freshman year, Ashley jets back to California, while Mary-Kate spends most of the summer in Europe, along with her boyfriend. rumors emerge in tabloids that Mary-Kate most likely isn't coming back to NYU in the fall and is thinking about starting an independent study program. During the summer, however, Mary-Kate breaks up with Stavros and is heartbroken, flying to California to be with her sister. They both fly back to New York for their sophomore year, but Mary-Kate ends up only staying a month. Mary-Kate Olsen has taken an approved leave of absence from New York University to focus on her increasing responsibilities as co-president of Dual Star Entertainment Group and to pursue personal interest, her publicist told People magazine. However, Mary-Kate was gone for good this time, and the real reason was in two parts. The first part is because she was heartbroken about her ex going off with Paris Hilton. It just got really hectic and I started feeling the city. My world was really small when I was here. When asked if there was a specific incident that made her want to leave, Olsen shrugs, I think we can all guess. Paris and I always had nice things to say about each other. Now I guess you can tell we're not talking. Paris will later be recorded insulting Mary-Kate outside of a nightclub in October 2005.
How are you?
She's so ugly. I'm jealous. She's just this jealous, ugly, anorexic idiot. Shut up.
You're beautiful.
Hi, Dad. Hello. I know. She's pathetic. We really don't.
I love you, Paris.
The second reason Mary-Kate decided to leave was because the constant paparazzi harassment on campus, at parties, at her flat was just too much, and she would later reflect in interviews how much the paparazzi ruined her already very weak mental health at the time. She also wasn't really feeling the schoolwork. You know, like writing papers doesn't really make me feel happy. With a beautiful nighttime light tribute by the NYU student body, Mary-Kate Olsen made her departure from New York University. Ashley would hang around until 2007, which is when she got bored and decided to leave NYU, with only a year and a half to go to graduate. Over the next few years, Mary-Kate would carry on going hard at the party scene, basically until the end of the 2000s, carrying on to party and allegedly do drugs, even after her casual boyfriend at the time, Heath Ledger, passed away on the 22nd of January 2008 after a drug overdose. She was seen hitting the clubs on the Lower East Side only 2 days later. She also tried her hand at a few TV roles in 2007, such as a Bible-thumping pot dealer on the TV show Weeds and a young hippie in the indie hit The Whackness, both to critical acclaim, but she wouldn't continue. Ashley, on the other hand, has started her luxury fashion brand The Row by then, which she was inspired to create after challenging herself to create the perfect t-shirt.
I'm Mary-Kate.
And I'm Ashley, and we're at the Row offices right now. The Row started as kind of a little side project for Mary-Kate and I, and it started with a t-shirt. And it was the concept of a very well-draped t-shirt with the best fabric that you could wear back to your other kind of designer brands. And we really felt at the time there was really no other brand that was going after sort of the core wearable part of a wardrobe, which was mainly filled with designer clothes.
When we started The Row, we really had no expectations of who we were going to sell it to or who was our customer.
Whether it's the perfect t-shirt or the perfect pant or the perfect jacket, for us it comes down to the fabric and the fit.
After settling down from her party years, Mary-Kate got more involved with the brand, saying, "The Row was my sister's baby, and of course I wanted to do whatever I could do to help her." The Row is what really elevated the Olsen twins from divisive child stars to visionary designers. The brand made its press debut in American Vogue, became popular at French Vogue, and it was immediately stocked in some of the most discriminating stores worldwide: Maxfield in Los Angeles, Mary Louisa in Paris, Harvey Nichols in London, Barney's in New York. Mary-Kate helped to set the tone for the brand with her collector's knowledge of vintage clothing that she had been buying for years. Ashley was the one who built the brand to become a veritable business. "I focused on building a true American brand," she said, explaining why it was important to her that the line be manufactured in New York. "For me, it was the control. I needed to make sure I could see the product being made. Things like this are successful when you really care, when you are paying attention to every single detail." The Row now has an annual revenue of over $200 million, and the Olsen twins have co-founded the most successful American luxury label in a generation. Looking back on where it all started, Ashley shared with Marie Claire in 2007, "When I was kind of 16 to 18, I couldn't get out of the weeklies. When I came to NYU, it was really tough for the first couple of months because I couldn't show up to some classes because there'd be paparazzi outside. Once, a student protesting Walmart put up flyers everywhere that said Mary-Kate and Ashley support child labor, so we couldn't go to school for a week." She would also elaborate on her experiences with the paparazzi in a later interview with the New York Times, saying, Every time I see a camera, I'm a wreck. I don't tend to react as though I have to do this, is my job. I am reacting as a woman who is 5'1", whose space is being invaded by a bunch of men whose aggression I can literally feel. In LA, it is even worse because they are running red lights behind you, and I worry all the time about something terrible happening, someone getting hurt because of me, how I could ever possibly live with that. I can't imagine what it would be like to have kids in the back seat and have to go through this and pretend for their sake that you are not scared. Are you a fan of Bobo Hobo Star? Is this man worth fighting over? Let me know in the comments down below, like the video, and subscribe if you're new.
Are you married, Kate? Or?
She's Ashley, she's perky. I'm creative because I'm wearing bracelets.
Oh.
When you